Okay, gentlemen, been talking about this thing called um, the formula of the herd mentality, contemporary modern America. It's actually been around for many, many ages. All right. Um, the formula, as we said, as we expressed in our last discussion, is you got your you got your Loyola, you got the good college, you get the good job, you make a ton of money, you get the stuff, and bam, the end result of the formula is happiness. All right. Now, of course, there's a couple things that we talked about as far as the formula goes. We had a couple concerns. Um, One concern is, that it's just kind of something we just buy into. It's like the formula is just something that we're just it's kind of like a brainwash. There's like there's no real. We've never really questioned the formula. We don't question it. See, now what that means is we don't really question whether all that stuff is going to produce the end result. Okay, we don't really. We just assume it does, right? It's an assumption. We take it for granted that this is what happiness is all about. And so, because there's a lack of questioning, we've called that the herd mentality. All right. Now, sorry, I had all these fans going. um, Now, I guess there's a problem with the fact that there's a lack of questioning, and we're just kind of being like brainwashed by this formulaic way of life. But there's a problem in the fact that there's no question, right? That's a problem, all right. But the probably the even more profound problem is, well, does it work? In other words, does this actually does all of this activity actually produce the happiness? See, do we get to where we want to get to? Does it work? Does the formula actually, do what we want it to do? Now, what we were saying in the last class is that all of these acts up here, Loyola, college, job, money, stuff, all that stuff. What we were saying is that all of this stuff here, all right, that is what we refer to as the extrinsic. All right. This is like the extrinsic world. All right. And an extrinsic world means, as we said before, in an extrinsic world, everything is a means to an end. All right. Everything's a means to an end. Why do I do that? So I can do that. Why do I do that? So I can do that. Why do I do that? So I can do that. Why do I do that? See, everything's for another reason. I'm all this formulaic existence. Everything I'm doing is for some other reason. So I'm never intrinsically involved in the world. I'm always in this extrinsic state. Whatever I'm doing it for some other reason. I'm always doing something for some other reasons. All right. Now look, here's a way to really kind of explain what's going on here. All of that stuff up there, Loyola college jobs, money stuff, all right, all of that's extrinsic. But guess what? It's trying to get to an intrinsic end, okay? In other words, this ending here, the world of happiness, all right? That happiness is an intrinsic reality. Okay. In other words, the entire thing from beginning to end, this whole structure and formula and all this work and effort and everything, we're all trying to get to the same place, which is some experience of happiness, human happiness. That's the end game, right? And the point is that, the world of happiness, that's an intrinsic reality, meaning happiness is something that exists for its own sake. We're not happy for some other reason. We just want to be happy. It's just we want happiness for its own sake, not for some other reason. All right? Happiness is the thing that is meaningful in itself. See? Meaningful in itself, which we call the intrinsic. All right? Something that's meaningful in itself, intrinsically meaningful. Okay, so one of the things I used to do when I was a kid I really loved was me and my buddies, there was this lake that existed down from our house, and we would always go fishing down there, especially on the weekends, when we'd have to go to school. And this fishing, going fishing, that there was a place called Smith Lake. Okay, that's what we called it. Smith Lake. Going fishing at Smith Lake for me and my buddies, that act of fishing was intrinsically meaningful, okay? We didn't go fishing for some other reason. Like, we didn't go fishing to make money, all right? That would be extrinsic, go fishing to make money. I mean, some people, that's what they do. They fish to make money, all right? Extrinsic. That would be extrinsic. We went fishing because we loved it, It was a blast. It was like incredible. It was like joy, it was happiness, joy. That's the reason we went fishing. Joy. And that joy, the act of the fishing, was meaningful in itself. We didn't do it for any other reason but to do it, see? Meaningful in itself. The act of doing the fishing was the meaning of the act. If me and my buddy were down there fishing off of like the Third Point, which was a great place to fish at Smith Lake, Third Point. The Third Point is where we did a lot of our fishing. A point's like a place where the land juts out and you can like put your fishing rods and stuff. If somebody was to come along and say, "Why are you gentlemen fishing?" It's a ridiculous question. It's like, what do you mean, why are we fishing? Because we love fishing. Okay, dude? Move on. That's meaningful in itself. Why do we fish? Because we love it. Okay? It's an intrinsic act. All right. Now, here's the thing. Can a whole slew of extrinsic things, Loyola, college, job, money, and stuff, can all of that, which is all extrinsic, okay, can that produce the intrinsic? Can it? All right? Can the extrinsic produce the intrinsic? Basically, see, this whole thing up here is basically is what's called the world of materialism. All right? It's a materialistic worldview. And the reason it's called materialism is it's the idea that material things can make you happy, all right? It's, happiness is found through stuff, materialism. So the question is, does materialism actually work, okay? Can it create happiness, all right? I got that right here. Can it produce the intrinsic, see? Are people happier because they have bigger houses and bigger cars and more clothes and so forth and so on? Is that actually true? See? So that's really what the question we're asking here. Is materialism the way towards, a fulfilling life? Okay? That's really what we're asking. Now, we're going to try to philosophically answer this question of whether materialism is actually a way towards human fulfillment. But I would just ask you just to think about this. You're at Loyola. You're at a school where there's, there are obviously some kids are wealthier than others, come from wealthier families than others. And, you can ask yourself, okay, you're around all these guys at the school. Does it seem like the kids that you're around that have like more money than other kids, are they happier? Do they somehow have like in their everyday ordinary lives, do you see a greater degree of like joy and happiness because they have more money? Is that what you see? In everyday life, do you see that? Do you see that an equation? See, it's a question of an equation. You guys like all this math and science. Well, I'll give you the equation, okay? All right. Does more money equal more joy? There's your equation. I mean, you're around all these kids that, you're around these people that have more, that are wealthier than other people. Is that what you see? Do you see that this does that? All right. And if you say, well, Mr. Moeller, no, it doesn't, it's not an equation. It doesn't automatically work that if you have more money, you have more joy. It's not an equation. It's not an equal sign. Well, then the question becomes, well, why? Okay. If that's it does not equal, okay, then the question is, well, why? All right. And therefore, what would be the kind of road towards real happiness? What would it entail? What is the road to real happiness? If that isn't it, what is it? See? And we're going to say that it has something to do with something that has to do with the intrinsic, okay? And something that has to do with what we've called the world of passion, okay? That is the passionate world that brings us to the intrinsic, which brings us to, bam, the world of joy. And that world right there, we're going to say is a world that's ultimately a world of extrinsic desire, okay? Extrinsic desire. And it ain't going to get you there, okay? All right, you guys.